Hi everyone, this is Diane here with you today to bring you information that's being given to me by my guides, which they'd like me to share with you today. I really don't know what they're going to talk about in advance, so I'm just going to let them have the floor and bring through whatever information they feel like bringing through at this time, whatever they feel is important to discuss. So thanks very much for listening, really appreciate it, and please check out our YouTube channel, Conversations with Spirit and Beyond, if you'd like to get more videos. And if this information resonates with you, please remember to like and or subscribe. We'd appreciate it very much. Thanks. Appreciate you for listening. And I'm just going to step aside now and allow them to come through and give the information they want to give out today. So thanks much, and here we go. Hello, everyone. Today we would like to talk about being the higher you. We often talk about the higher self, your higher being the highest person you are, being of the highest level. Those are all important terms, but basically the same term. So what we want to do is explain a little bit of what that means and what that means to us and what that means to you. First of all, we would like to say that you are your third dimensional body. You have chosen to come here at this time, in this place, to be who you are, to learn what it is you wanted to learn, to grow, and be an all-around better person, to be able to find out what you need to find out, to have more understanding, have more compassion, have more humanity. And you have chosen to be here to do this at this time so you can become the higher you. You can become the highest you eventually, but that takes much work and much time. So you have chosen to be here and you've come into this third dimensional body to be able to experience what you have chosen to experience in this lifetime. And we'd like you to know that even though you see yourselves, and you see yourself and you see each other as third dimensional beings, as humans with these bodies, we do not see you that way. We actually, when we see you as a light being. We see you as a being of light. We see the highest level of you, the highest person that you are. We see your soul. We see everything that encompasses you as a being, as a light being, not a third dimensional body being. We see you as the beautiful, wonderful, all-encompassing light being that you are. And so today we would like to talk to you about that and say that we think it's time and we think it would be very beneficial for you to start viewing yourselves in the same way that we view you. We think it would be really interesting for you to be able to start looking at yourselves that way and start to be able to step out of your third dimensional body, to walk away from it for just a little while and look at it. Look back at your third dimensional body, and maybe in meditation, in a quiet moment, this is something you might want to start thinking about. And to be able to think about who you are, what you came here for, what you came here to do, what you are learning, what you have learned so far, and everything that you are, all that is, all that you encompass, at a very deep soul level, to be able to start recognizing that. Because you are not just your third dimensional body. You are actually so much more than that. You encompass so much more than that. And that's what we see. And that's what we want you to start to being able to see of yourselves. If you can step aside and look at your highest being, and we know that that's not the easiest thing to do in a third dimensional body, but it's a practice, and you can start doing this where you can actually step away and look at yourself and start to see who you are, what you were learning, how you were growing, what you have done really well, what you might need a little more work on. That's what you're here for. So we know in everyday life you're very busy. Your lives are taken up with many different functions and many different things that you have to do. But if you could just take the time to start directing your mind into that thought process, directing your mind into thinking a little differently, and instead of just having your everyday of what you do every day, your routine, and what you think every day, to step out of the box, to go a little bit beyond, and start looking at who you really are, what you really came here for, what you really want to accomplish. And it takes practice, but over time, you'll start understanding, and you'll start getting information coming in for you when you ask. And again, we just always say, just ask, and the information will come to you. And you'll start learning, and you'll start widening your horizon, and everything will start to become more clear to you as to what your path is, what you need to do, and where you need to go. And this is something you can do for yourself. There are many people out there with many beautiful modalities that can help you with this, but you can also learn how to do this for yourself and just allow yourself to expand your thinking, expand your mind. Look at the broader picture of who you are and what you came here for and what really you do want to accomplish. And we want to say one way of doing that is, again, to step out of that third dimensional mindset, that third dimensional body. Step out of it for a minute and realize that you have the opportunity to, when you say something that might not be as kind as you wanted it to be, and something was said that you might regret, or even just realizing that, oh, that wasn't of my highest self, stop and look at that and think about that. Think about what you said. Stop and take the time to just analyze that for a little while and say, okay, I did say that, and it wasn't the kindest thing that I could have said or in the kindest way I could have said it. And then just start analyzing it and thinking, what would my higher self do? How would my higher self react to this? What would my higher self have said if they had the opportunity to speak for me? And as you start using that kind of mindset and start thinking in those terms, you're going to start expanding your knowledge and expanding your growth, because you're going to start understanding yourself so much better. And that is reaching your higher self. That is a form and a way of being able to get in touch with and get in tune with the higher you, the higher person that you are, the person that we see, the beautiful, wonderful light being that we see. And not to say that you're doing anything wrong, because of course you came here as a third dimensional body to learn your lessons. And we say lessons, and we don't know if we particularly want to use that word, because lessons can be a negative connotation. A lesson can be something that's kind of harsh, and you must learn your lesson. And we don't like to use that in that term. We like to say your learning and your growth and your experience, rather than lessons. Because of the fact that this is what you came here for, and this is who you are, and this is what you are doing here. You are very brave to come here and to this planet and to this place where it is very difficult, a very difficult place sometimes to learn what you need to learn and grow and take the experiences, that good and bad, and put them together and try to figure it out of what that really means. And we're just saying that we know that that's not easy. That's not always an easy thing to do. But you have come here to do it. So since you are here doing this, then let's look at it and say, make use out of it. Make the best you can out of it. Be the best you that you can be. And even with all the drama and trauma in your lives and the things going on that are so traumatic, again, if you could just step away from that, and yes, understand and know and have knowledge of, which is, again, another reason why you might have come here, is to have knowledge of this, and that's fine. But also take the time, again, to step away and look at how can I have looked at that situation from my higher self, from the highest being that I am. That's all we ask, because it is a practice, and it is something that will take time to start utilizing your mind in that direction. But we do feel it's time for this. We feel it's time to start thinking this way, because we're coming to a place in time on the planet when it's going to be very important to be able to negotiate and maneuver. I guess what we're trying to say is maneuver through and come from the highest place that you are. Come from the highest point that you are to be able to look at things, because it's going to be much easier for you in the long run if you can do that. And at the same time, as you start practicing looking at where your higher self would have come from, and we're talking about, again, let's give specifics here so you know how to do this. We want to say, a kind word, a something that you said to somebody that could have been, again, looked at differently, or could have done better. That's what you're here to learn. That's what you're here to. That's growth. That's learning and growing. So you want to look at that, or you want to look at the way you might have handled the situation. Could I have handled that better? How would my higher self would have handled that situation? How would the best me, the best part of me, have handled that? And when you really start thinking about that, you'll realize that it would not be that difficult to create and do what your higher self would have done. You just hadn't thought of that. You hadn't looked at it that way. So it's just as simple as just looking at it from a different light, from a different way. Looking at yourself from your higher source as we see you. And we see that beauty, we see that perfection, we see that light being that you are. And we want you to start seeing that too. And not only about yourselves, we also want you to be able to look at others and see that in others. Look at others and be able to find the light in them, to understand that they also are just here the same reason you are, to try to find the best them that they can be, and to be the higher person that they can be, and they're learning and growing right along with you. Everybody is also doing the same thing in their own way and their own time frame. So it might be beneficial to be able to look at others and have that same mindset with them of, maybe they said something to me that was unkind. Maybe they didn't really mean it that way. That was the third dimensional body speaking to me. I need to look at them and realize that they didn't come from their higher self. And what would they have said if they were coming from their higher self? Because that's really where they really eventually want to come from anyway. So if you start again thinking in that direction and thinking everything, looking at everything and everyone from a higher level, from a higher source, it would make it much easier as we continue on this process. As the process continues on, it's going to be much easier to be able to start looking things from a higher level, from the higher you, from the best being that you are. And that's, again, how we see you. We love and honor the light beings that you are, and the beauty that surrounds each and every one of you. So we want you to appreciate. We want you to appreciate and know that that's who you really are. And we want you to find that in yourselves. And we want you to start finding that in others too. And it may just change the way you feel. It may just give you that feeling of, I'm understanding this now. I'm understanding who I really am. I'm not this third dimensional body that's always having problems and trying to work things out and having issues. I'm a higher level. I'm a higher source. I'm a higher being that can really, really look at things in a much higher level, a much lighter level, and just be able to appreciate that. And that's what we're trying to say here today, is to allow you to be your true, authentic, higher self, to be able to tap into that, to be able to walk away and look at that, to be able to meditate and find that. And just every time you speak, if you can just think about the mindset and think about how you could have said it differently, think about how you could have done this situation a little differently, that would have come from a higher level, a higher you, a higher source, a higher being, then you're on the right track. And it's not, we don't say it's easy. We don't say it's something that's going to come naturally, because that's not really the way that the human mind thinks. But again, it's going to be important as time goes on and progresses to be able to think this way and be able to start looking at things from a higher level, from a higher source, to understand it from a different place, from a place that we see it from, that we see you from. So we just wanted to put that information out there today, and just a little practice that you can do to honor yourself, to honor the light beings that you are and that you have with each other, that you can find in each other. That's what we want the practice to be. And and see how that works. See how you feel after starting thinking that way. We promise you will start feeling differently. You will start looking at things differently. You will start looking at things from the higher you, from the higher level. So we thank you very much for listening today. We thank you for taking what you can and allowing the information to resonate with you or not. We just put the information out there for you to be able to hear and understand what you can and what you want to use. And we thank you so much for being with us today. And we honor you, we bless you, and we thank you so much. And we love you, and we see you as the wonderful light beings that you are. Thank you.